Hello, welcome to my channel StuckFiles. Today we will discuss about why it sucks to be a player in the shadow of legends. Imagine training your whole life, reaching the top 100, even winning a few matches at Grand Slams. But no matter how hard you work, you're always second best in the eyes of the world. Because standing next to you is a legend, someone the media loves, the fans worship, and the sponsors chase. You could have been the main story, the face of your country, maybe even a national hero. But instead, you're the sidekick in someone else's fairy tale. Your talent is undeniable, but it's constantly compared, dismissed, or overshadowed. That's the harsh reality of playing in the shadow of legends. You get the pressure, but none of the spotlight. You face the same opponents, but with triple the expectations. And even when you win, the headline is usually about the other guy. This is why it sucks to be a player in the shadow of legends. Section 1. The curse of constant comparison. Being a professional athlete is already tough, but being constantly compared to a legend makes it almost unbearable. You're not just playing your match, you're playing against the ghost of someone else's greatness. Every shot, every loss, every interview gets measured against a higher standard. If you play well, it's good, but not quite like Federer. If you lose, it's well, of course, he's no Nadal. The shadow of a legend makes your accomplishments seem small, even when they're objectively impressive. Even reaching a Grand Slam semifinal doesn't feel like a victory. It feels like he still hasn't won one. And this pressure doesn't just come from the media. It comes from your country, your federation, and even fans. They expect you to be the second coming of greatness. They forget your own player with your own style, your own path. It feels like you're never playing as yourself. You're always playing to prove you're not a disappointment. And that psychological weight, it doesn't fade. Every tournament becomes another chapter in the story of almost. That's the curse of being stuck in a comparison you didn't ask for. Section 2. Media narratives that box you in. No matter how hard you train or how well you play, the media rarely tells your story on your terms. Instead, they package you as the next Djokovic or the guy who couldn't fill Serena's shoes. You become a headline cliche before you get a chance to shape your own legacy. Even a strong win gets framed as finally living up to expectations. And if you lose, it's fuel for the narrative that you'll never measure up. Journalists don't just report the match. They dig up old comparisons and highlight the gap between you and greatness. Your name never stands alone. It's always mentioned in relation to someone else. These narratives trap you in a mold you didn't choose. And the more the media repeats them, the more fans believe them. Even when you evolve as a player, the story doesn't change. You're still the understudy to a legend, even in your prime. That perception becomes a wall you have to break through, not just with wins, but with constant reinvention. And even then, you might still be defined by what you're not, rather than what you are. Section 3. Fans who never let you forget. You step onto the court and hear the cheers, but they're not really for you. They're for the memory of someone else. Every crowd has that one fan yelling the legend's name during your serve. Even when you win, fans often downplay it. Yeah, but Federer would have crushed that guy. It's like competing against a ghost who never misses. Fans compare your every move, your technique, your attitude against their idol's perfection. And they don't hold back online either. Social media becomes a highlight reel of how you'll never be Rafa or Serena. You're not just fighting your opponent, you're fighting nostalgia. And nostalgia never loses. Every tournament you enter, you carry that shadow. It stretches across the court, into every interview, and through every press conference. You train to win, but fans judge you on how close you come to someone who's no longer even in the game. It's a no-win scenario. Even your biggest victories feel like someone else's echo. Section 4. Media narratives that trap you. Before you even serve the first ball, the story's already written. The media doesn't see you as you. They see you as the next Novak, the wannabe Serena, the heir to Nadal. Your own identity gets lost in headlines chasing legacy. Even your smallest mistake is magnified. Every loss, proof you'll never live up. Every win, compared to someone else's better win. The press doesn't just report. They shape expectations you never agreed to. You're stuck in a narrative you didn't write. And when you try to break free, it only fuels more questions. Do you feel pressure living up to legend? It never stops. TV analysts bring up the legend mid-match. Commentators frame your entire career through their shadow. You can't just play tennis. You're always auditioning for someone else's legacy. Even when you're making history, it's never just yours. It's a comparison, a footnote, a not quite. Section 5. Your peak is always their afterthought. Even when you finally break through, win a title, crack the top 10, pull off an upset on the biggest stage, you expect celebration. Instead, it's, well, the big three weren't playing. Or, let's see how they do against Serena in her prime. No matter what you accomplish, it's diminished. Your career becomes a side note to someone else's timeline. Even your fans can't resist making the comparisons. You're good, but not that good. You're strong, but not iconic. It's like there's a ceiling you're never allowed to break. Because the legend already set the standard. And you're always catching up. Even when you're winning, you're losing in perception. Because your peak isn't theirs. And to some people, that's all that matters. As we deeply discussed everything in all 5 sections, so now you know being a professional tennis player is already one of the toughest jobs in sports. But doing it while constantly living in someone else's shadow, that's a whole different kind of mental game. You're expected to match greatness just because of your passport, academy, or last name. Your losses are compared. Your wins are diminished. Even when you carve out your own path, the echoes of past legends seem louder than your own triumphs. Media stories rarely focus on your journey. They just remind you who came before. Fans? They often cheer with nostalgia, not for your own grit and grind. Endorsements? They're scarce unless you break out with something headline-worthy. And while you're fighting for your own moment, the sport keeps reminding you whose shoes you'll never quite fill. But still, you show up. You train. You compete. You chase your own greatness, even if it's in someone else's shadow. That's why it sucks to be a player in the shadow of legends.